Hello, it's Alex Wilson Campbell, and welcome to another session of the Careers with Purpose Summit, where I'll share with you career anecdotes from successful and purposeful CEOs, founders, and business leaders who are changing the world for the better. And today I'm speaking to none other than Eric Ryan, co-founder of Method, who are a multi-million-dollar soap company who make non-toxic and beautiful products that are good for the planet. Now, I recommend you listen to this with no distractions because Eric gives some inspiring advice. He tells us how he overcame personal career challenges and talks candidly about mindset for a successful career, how he went about finding direction for his career and his latest venture, and what he looks for when hiring new people. Let's get into the interview.
Yeah, so I co-founded the company back in, 2000. We started working on it, Adam and myself as my other co-founder. And in 2001, we officially launched into the world. So I'm co-founder of the company. And then, like any founder, as a company scales, you tend to have every job and then no job. So your goal is to obsolete yourself. And so I spent the way Adam and I kind of set up, we did a little bit of divide and conquer. And over the years, I generally focus much more on the brand, marketing, product vision, and spending a lot of time interfacing with retailers. And Adam worked more on the formulation, technology, and sustainability side of the business.
And would you say that Method is the highlight of your career?
Yeah, it defines my career. Highlight in many ways, but it's the beauty of starting a company, it's never the destination, it's always the journey, particularly if you do it right and you enjoy the ride. So building Method, it's like raising a child. It's been incredibly difficult and incredibly rewarding.
And I read your book, The Method, and as I said, we're probably talking to a few people who may not have heard everything about Method and may not have read your book. So could you just tell us a little bit about the Method and what inspired you to write that book?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of what inspired me was proving all my English teachers wrong that I could actually write a book. The biggest reason we wanted to write the book was we love the idea of giving away our ideas because it forces us to create more and being a learning organization. And there's a lot of benefits to writing it. One is, of course, if you take a time out from your everyday work and really give thought to what your beliefs and principles are and to document them and give them real thought. And then it creates it's a great PR podium. So you generate a lot of earned media. And for an organization that does not have a meaningful marketing budget against our competitors, it's a great way to drive press, but also a great way to recruit more talent into the organization. And we also found it did a fabulous job of onboarding recruits. Sure. By the time they arrived for an interview, if they were smart, they had read the book, and it helped them, align to our way of thinking, and even to help decide if that was right for them.
And because the book, it's a great read. I mean, it's very inspirational. Like you said, there's a lot of insight in there, but also a lot of learning in there. Was it also deliberately meant to chart your success in many ways? Was that deliberate?
Yeah, I'd say deliberate. I mean, I don't think there's so much gets caught up on strategy and theory and thesis versus at the end of the day, I think it's so much of it is just caring more, and passion is a great shorthand for caring. If you care more than the other company, chances are you're going to create a better product and really engage with your consumer much better. So I think so much of it drove for that. And the way we thought about the book is we wanted to be a book that did a really balanced, inspiring. And I think so much people read entrepreneur books is they just want to get that courage that, hey, if these guys can do it, I can do it myself. So it's trying to set a little that aspiration and inspiration, but at the same time, wanted to do a book that was pretty practical, where there was clear ideas you could steal, and you could read a chapter one night, come into work the next morning, and do something different. And I think you saw too. One thing so many people when they write books about their work, they just gloss over history to wrap it up into a nice, neat narrative of here's everything I did right. But the reality is we learn more from our mistakes, and so that's why we put. We're very candid in there about talking about in each chapter our error autopsy where we made a mistake.
Yeah, and I think that's key because that, as you said, it's a learning tool. How else can you learn if you if you don't make mistakes, and how could people learn from what you do if you don't put those elements in? But how did you actually, at the time when you were experiencing those low points, experiencing those mistakes, what did you actually do to overcome any? I suppose I know some people when they make mistakes, they can have a certain negative mindset. How did you overcome that?
Yeah, I think it's a great question. There's like that cliche quote that the difference between a successful entrepreneur and a failed entrepreneur is that the failed one just gave up too early, and it's really about persistence. And I think for me personally, overcoming the challenges, there was kind of two elements at play. One is like you just believed in the vision. You didn't necessarily believe you were the one who was going to execute it properly, but if you didn't do it, you felt so solid about your vision, somebody else would do it. So it's that core belief that you were marching towards something that was going to work. And then where the insecurities tend to pop up in is like, wow, can I be the one who actually executes this right? Can I raise the right amount of capital at the right time and get the right people on board and not make any mistakes that would kill me? And the other thing is I just found is like, and I always encourage this to entrepreneurs, is like, you take it step by step, and each step gets you further invested into it, where the road forward, no matter how hard it is, always looks better than the road backwards to unwind this thing. And particularly like when we took capital from, really impressive and powerful people, and you don't want to let them down. So when Target originally said snowball's chance in hell, the thought of going back to Target and risking failing another time in front of them didn't seem nearly as scary as going back to our investors and saying, we can't get Target. And I don't know. I think it's just at the end of the day, it's like a human trait of a successful entrepreneur that you just, you don't give up. You keep learning and course correcting until you finally make it work.
That's great. And I think, when you experience periods of rejection, and this is for a lot of the people that I speak to on a day-to-day basis, they tend to lose motivation. And, it can be easy if you're repeatedly facing rejection to have those negative thoughts again creep into your mind. And were there times when you lacked motivation, or were there times when you had to find a way of motivating yourself?
Yeah. But not that, for me personally, not that often. There was definitely moments. I think the morning of 9/11 was certainly one of them where, we were in pretty dire financial straits. The world obviously had changed that morning. There was much bigger problems in the world than our little soap company. And that was one where, kind of walked around in a fog for 24 hours and then, picked ourselves up and went back at it, even knowing that, with the uncertainty in the world, getting anybody to complete our Series A funding round was going to become very, very challenging. Nobody in their right mind was going to start investing money in a premium brand after those events and big questions about where the world was headed.
Sure.
But, I don't know. Generally, I've not had too hard of a time. I kind of like having critics around, too, to prove wrong. And I had one early advisor who, really smart gentleman. He spent most of his careers at Procter & Gamble, and he was my harshest critic. And he would continually tell me, why something might not work that I was trying, or, why it was flawed. And I really liked hearing that because it motivated me even more. And it wasn't like out of spite of like when we proved him right, like, aha, we proved you. It was much more of like, I just found that motivating, that I, in a lot of ways, just wanted to make him proud by overcoming his challenges and doing something that he said couldn't be done, because I knew he had all of the wisdom and knowledge that our competition had, and he thought the way our competition thought. So I kind of like, I don't know, have you ever watched the TV series How to Make It in America?
I haven't seen that, no. I've not seen that in the UK. What's that about?
It's a great series. It's produced by Mark Wahlberg, who also did Entourage, and it's about two guys starting a jeans company. And they do a really beautiful job of nailing that startup environment. And there's like this very pivotal scene where they ended an episode that they got a meeting with John Gravatos, the famous designer. And John wasn't able to make the meeting, so they put him with like his head pattern maker, who clearly was somebody who you could see wanted to be an entrepreneur but just never did it for whatever reason, didn't have the courage or failed. And this guy tried to talk, basically tried to tell them how tough it was going to be and why they were going to fail. And they got in the elevator, kind of, they're walking out with their shoulders kind of down, and they basically just got told, like, you can't do this. It's too hard. And they got in the elevator and they looked at each other and said, fuck him. And they ended that scene. I just thought it captured, like, the attitude that you have to have to be able to go in and really disrupt an industry.
I think so. It does, and I think it can be applied to people looking for their dream. You're going to come across people who say, who doubt what you do or don't particularly get what you do, but at the end of the day, you have to have that mindset where you say, screw you, I can do it. And it sounds like that's the kind of mindset that you have, that you embody.
Well, you have to go in and to be successful. We live in such a surplus economy where we've got infinite choice, infinite competition, and so to be successful, you have to be different. To be different, it means you have to do something that hasn't been done before, which inherently means risk and rejecting the conventional wisdom of how it's been done. And I think that's why outsiders are the ones who always generally disrupt an industry, and why Richard Branson did it so well. And if you look, I don't know if you saw, I have a new startup called Ollie. If you go to ollie.com, OLLY. So we're trying to go change the nutritional supplement aisle, and I have no experience in it. I've hired some awesome experts, but it's kind of the same scenario where I'm coming in as an outsider. But when I talked to the experts, they said what we're doing didn't make sense for specific reasons, and yet we launched it in April, and it's selling incredibly well.
And so you've launched a new product, a new brand, and that's the other thing. I think a lot of people struggle with finding what's right for them as well. So you've got Method, and now you've moved on to Ollie. How did you get to that point? I mean, what advice can you give to people listening in terms of how, getting to the point where you can really find something you can get your teeth into, that you can be really passionate about? How did you do that?
Yeah, it's a really great question. It's kind of like an innocent juice type culture where, like, you've built this thing you don't want to not be part of. And so very academic, and I was trying to think of lots of different ideas that it's kind of like a hobby for me. It's just fun to sketch out ideas. So I started from looking at different categories with the idea that I'd find a category and figure out what the cultural shift it missed, and in between the space would be the business. And versus trying to come up with an idea. And I started looking, I knew I ideally wanted to stay in mass retailing and health and wellness, the areas I knew and had credibility. So I started looking at as you guys say, the vitamin aisle. Which, nutritional supplements are really big categories over here in the States. And so I was just looking at it, and it just seemed like it was a disaster. It was people would literally stress out trying to achieve something that was healthy for them. It was very uninspiring products, unaspirational brands. And so that was kind of a clue of, like, dig here. And then as I was getting into it, realized, okay, there's this cultural shift that the category is missing, which is the whole lifestyling of health and wellness. And then I thought of a lot of different ways you could make the product experience. And so it really started from, like, coming up with this, and then I threw a few dollars at it of, bringing on an agency to help me kind of bring it to life. And we did a little sizzle reel. And, at this point, my idea was not, let's go build a company. I was just trying to figure out, is this an idea that I'm excited about? And then once I got there, I was like, okay, I'm excited about this. Then the next thing was, like, can I get other people excited about this? And so I showed it to Target, to an SVP there, very casually, say, hey, just give me a gut check. What do you think of this idea? And he immediately got behind it, and then we showed it to other people, and that was kind of like the proof point of, like, okay, let's go do this. And then Brad and I had met. We decided to become partners. and we raised capital and we're off to the races. So that was kind of the process that I followed, and and I de-risked it along the way. Once I was excited, and I got Target excited, and I got in front of consumers, and they were excited. So it was just a process of continuing to just build slow momentum behind it.
So is there a certain amount of instinct involved there, as well as obviously the gap? It sounds like you did, you looked at where the gaps were. Is there a science behind it, or is it more an element of an instinctive process in there as well? Yeah,
for sure. And I think just instincts from like working around consumer products, and I mean, this is the audience we're targeting is the same audience we targeted with Method. I kept a lot of things very similar by design to therefore improve the probability of success. And when I looked at other serial entrepreneurs, it seems like they run the same play over and over and just apply it to different categories. So,
sure.
I try to make it as unrisky as possible.
Tell us a bit then. What would you say is what are your main products at the moment with Ollie, or what's your main product, your showcase product, I suppose you could say?
So we launched 20 products. It was a really big launch by Target, 3 parts of the store, cover the circular. They really, really got behind it. It was just a great, you couldn't have come out of the gate better for a startup. And of those 20 products, we've got a line of multivitamins, which are like a foundational product. That's like adult, kids, prenatal, postnatal, men's, women's. And then our 2 like real standouts that are selling incredibly well is our sleep product and our beauty product.
Excellent. Well, to me as well, this, as I said to you before, I mean, there are a lot of people out there. They look up to what you're doing. They see that you and Adam are both really doing things with people at the forefront and doing what you love doing. And there's people trying to capture a little piece of that. And I suppose you could even call that I don't know if you would agree with me, Eric. Would you say that you're living your dream career, would you say?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that was since I was in the 3rd grade is like the earliest I can remember saying, okay, I want to be an entrepreneur. And in high school, I would read books of Sam Walton, and so that was definitely like ever since I was a kid, like that was my dream. So yeah, I'm really content and fulfilled by my career path. And I think I definitely went through, when Method got a lot bigger, I started going through a little of my own identity crisis of like, well, I'm not really an entrepreneur anymore because this company, 400 employees and multiple offices, and you go from being a pioneer to more of a settler as you're still growing it, but it's growing, much, much slower. And so like, I felt like I had to get back to a startup just to kind of reclaim my own sense of identity and purpose.
Sure.
To like, do something from scratch again.
No, I hear you. But, well, keep doing it. That's all I can say. Just keep doing it.
So, it's also nerve-wracking because you're like, okay, did I just get lucky on the first one? Or am I really sure?
No. It's not at all. It's like I said, it's that, I don't know, there is a certain amount of magic to it as well, because I think maybe, as I said before, there's lots of people who, I don't know, you do have to have that element of determination, that motivation, which obviously you and Adam have had, but at the same time, if the idea is no good, then nobody's going to buy the product. I guess that's what I'm guessing anyway, and nobody's going to really want to engage with the product. So you've got that magic element in terms of capturing people's interest.
That's true. You just accelerate your own death.
Yep, absolutely.
Like if you do good marketing, good support behind a lousy product.
Eric, just a couple of questions to wrap up, but just to say, I'm sure you see, or you have in your time seen a lot of people interview and people who would like to work for Method, people who want to work for Ollie, for example. If somebody were to actually approach you for a job, what 3 things would impress you?
If somebody approached me for a job, what 3 things would most impress me? One would be real passion for what we're doing at, an intuitive level where they just get it, they love it, they just naturally, like, it's a brand or a company. They're like, I need to be part of this. Two is a real area of expertise, because particularly at a startup where, like, we're all hands on, you don't need general managers, you need doers, and somebody who can really bring some form of expertise to it. And then three, I would look for somebody who's just like the personality and the chemistry is just easy to get along with, where they're just a naturally very likable person.
Sure. No, excellent. That's great. And on the flip side, are there any things that you could think of that have actually really been an off-putting situation at interview?
Yeah, I think, I've seen interviews where the person starts criticizing their existing company or situation. Like, I'll always ask somebody, like, what's inspiring you to, look at new opportunities? And I listen to hear somebody who's running towards something versus running away. And even if they're running away where they found they put themselves in a bad company or a bad boss, do they point all the blame there? Or are they much more about, you get the sense there's somebody who accepts accountability and believes they've got, their destiny in their own hands. So that's always a quick turn off. There's the person who likes to look smart like the person who wants to come in and feel like they just got something to prove, and they try to show off how smart they are. Mm-hmm. And the risk is they're going to carry that into the workplace of always trying to prove themselves. Like I always say, you should approach every situation with the opportunity to improve yourself versus prove yourself.
Sure.
And if somebody works for close to a competitor and I see them kind of cross the line in what they share with us and not show real discretion, if they did it to that company, they're going to do it to me. Those are the big things that generally look for, but so much of it goes back to just personality and chemistry too. If they do something that, whether you take them to a restaurant for a lunch interview and they're rude to the waiter, or you see how they are to junior staff, right. That's an instant red flag.
I hear you. And just finally, it sounds like we talked about Ollie briefly, and of course we've talked about method as well. What does the future hold for you, Eric? What does the future look like? The next couple of years look like for you?
I don't know. I'm just trying to get through this week. My goal would be to build. First of all, the stay part of Method is, as long as they'll have me around, and help continue to, from a lighter touch, guide that to be hopefully one of the greater companies of the world. Sure. I hope to get Ollie on a very similar path, and I hope to, find more blank sheets of paper in the future to develop new ideas and new companies around.
Well, I hope you enjoyed that just as much as I enjoyed interviewing Eric. Listen out for more inspiring sessions from purpose-led thought leaders, CEOs, and founders. Bye for now.